Alright, this is Elmaster here, and today I am going to be casting a fantastic match here between Last and EffOrt here on Fighting Spirit. And if you know Brood War, neither of these players need any introduction, but if you are a newer player, well, let's just say Last is probably the second best Brood War player in the world right now. Unquestionably the second best Terran behind only Flash. He has crazy win rates in all of his matchups. I think he's over 70% in his last, several months of spawn matches and tournaments, and I think over 80% in TVT, which are massive win rates. And on the left-hand side here, as our teal Zerg, we of course have EffOrt, who needs little introduction himself. He is the reigning ASL champion right now. He beat Rain, he beat Last, and then he beat Flash in the finals. About as tough of a road as you can imagine, and he beat the best Protoss, the second best Terran, and the all-time best Brood War player to become the champion. So he is riding a major high right now, and certainly looks to be the Zerg in the best form of anybody. Of course, this is TVZ, and this is Fighting Spirit, which is known to be a challenging matchup for Zergs, and a bit of a challenging map, especially in the late game. Fighting Spirit suits late mech transitions, and it's fairly powerful on this map. We see a supply depot here for Last, as well as a barracks. And it looks like EffOrt has made a bunch of drones, so we are going to see a 12 hatch play from EffOrt, and yeah, okay, so 12 hatch and probably a drone to scout. And let's see here, Last is queuing up SCVs. He's not taking his gas, so it doesn't look like we'll be seeing 1-1-1 or any similar plays here out of a Last. It'll be a more traditional CC command center into more racks, probably with a fast +1 is the way that most Terrans are playing in this matchup currently. And alright, so EffOrt just now putting down his pool. Actually he has a pretty fast pool here. He did not opt to go for the more eco variant, making a few drones and then getting the hatchery. But he's going to come in, he's going to see the barracks. And Last is double scouting here. He scouted towards top and did not see any Zerg. And so he's going to come back home with this SCV, and then the second SCV sent out along this pathway here. And of course, he'll be seeing the hatchery now. He hasn't seen it yet, so he has to make a Marine. He doesn't, because EffOrt, for all he knows, could be rushing with fast Zerglings. So he's got to make the first Marine here. Now he's going to see the hatchery. He might cancel the second Marine, he might not, but he's definitely going to feel comfortable going down and immediately placing that command center, having seen that there are no Zerglings coming out super fast. And of course, now he knows where EffOrt has spawned. Let's see, EffOrt is going to try to sneak a drone in here and get a second look. Okay, so the drone does get far enough in here. He sees the command center, so he knows now for sure that Last is expanding, and then he can comfortably transition into his play. And of course, Last has this SCV scouting around the base, able to see the exact gas timing, the exact lair timing. Although, just as I say that, oh, actually, you know what? Last is going to send this SCV down the ramp here. He wanted to see this because he didn't see gas in the main. That was weird. And oh my, well, his SCV is being chased, but look at this. Last has snuck 2 Marines out. He knows EffOrt spawned. He knows that Overlords are usually sent in this direction, and he has found EffOrt's Overlord here in the middle of the map. That is a big deal because that is going to majorly supply block EffOrt. You never plan on this Overlord getting killed. EffOrt didn't have anything to indicate it would be getting killed. Now, EffOrt is doing a great job here finding a cute little spot to put it over the cliff here, buying time. That's going to lessen this supply block, but it's still going to leave EffOrt's supply blocked at least a little bit, and also is going to cost him 100 minerals, so it's not ideal for EffOrt. You can see that Overlord was supposed to unsupply block him, but now he has to wait another 10 seconds, so this is going to slow down EffOrt's build order a little bit here. And let's see, EffOrt has 100 gas, so we should be seeing, okay, so the lair morph starts here for EffOrt. SCV transfer for Last, as well as that engineering bay we would expect to see. And EffOrt now sending his lings will clean up those 3 Marines, loses 1 Zergling in the process, so at least he kills off the Marines that killed his Overlord, but that's a wonderful trade for Last. Losing those 3 Marines, not a huge deal. You're not really looking to put on any super early pressure, not a devastating loss by any means. And now we're just waiting to see. We are about 50% lair, so if EffOrt were to be playing a 3-hatch Hydra build, or a 3-hatch Lurker build, not 3-hatch Hydra, sorry, he would need to be placing a Hydra den here sometime soon. So far, we're not seeing that. Usually about half lair is when you need to see that Hydra den. Academy on the way, +1 is started, and in comes a SCV scout here. EffOrt trying to block the ramp, but he's unable to do it, and we're still seeing no Hydra Den here for EffOrt, so I think we're going to be seeing Mutalisk play. A few Lings coming back, and actually, wait, okay, well, he actually did just build a Hydra Den, but he built the Hydra Den after the SCV got in here, so I think he's trying to do some mind games here with Last, although the fact that Last is not seeing a Spire is going to be indicative of this, and now EffOrt is just chasing around that SCV. Oh, and EffOrt actually is going to put down a Spire. Alright. Now, sometimes Zergs will do this, and it's a bit of a mind game. This should be about the end of this SCV. Link speed is now done, so yeah, this SCV has only moments left to live. And so that's it for the SCV. Lurker starts, though, so this is definitely going to be a Lurker opening here from EffOrt. But Last might not be 100% sure right now, because sometimes Zergs make both buildings and make Terran question. Is he going Lurkers? Is he going Muta? Do I need to make turrets? Do I need bunkers? What do I need to do? However, once Last gets these scanners up and scans EffOrt's base, he will know, because EffOrt is not going to save Larva here going for Lurker. But for a little while, Last is not going to know whether or not he needs to make any turrets, or whether he needs to start a bunker or two at the front, which is necessary against 2-hatch Muta. Now, Last has his 4 barracks up and running. And because there's not Muta, we might not see him go the 5 racks. We might see him go like 4 racks and go for a little bit faster tech or something like that. It's definitely a possibility with these coming Lurkers. And now these scans going down here for Last. Yeah, we can see the second scan hits here, the main, and gives him a good idea of exactly what is going on. He sees 3 eggs being made, but a non-completed Spire, which tells him 100% now that it's Lurker, so you won't see any turrets from Last here in the main or natural, and you will see some bunkers at the front. Or sorry, did I say from EffOrt? From Last. And so now, Last moving on the map. Now, this army has 2 Firebats in with it. Actually, check that. 3 Firebats. And, oh, but one is a straggler. It does stim, trying to catch up to its buddies, and the Marines of Last turn back around. So EffOrt takes some damage there. Last loses nothing. EffOrt runs in again here. This is surprising. I wonder why he did that. Well, it looks like actually he is, yeah, he's trying to buy time because his Lurkers aren't morphed yet, and there's no sunken. So this is a very, very good time for Last to move out. This is going to be extremely disruptive, and honestly, if there's enough scans, this could be a game-ending move here, although the medics are a bit separated, so these Marines are taking a little bit of damage, although all still alive. The Firebat damage being tremendous. The Lurkers are still not down. Now, let's see if Last tries to spread. No, I think there's just a few too many Lurkers here for him to pick off, and EffOrt does a good burrow. He doesn't get isolated, but immediately 3 drones die there in that engagement, and the Lurkers are being forced to burrow, and of course, as this happens, EffOrt has to use all of his Lurkers now to defend. He can't really afford to send Lurkers over towards his 3rd base, morphing there in the top left-hand portion of the map, so that 3rd base is very vulnerable. And also, of course, he's delaying gas mining, he's slowing this down. It means that there's not enough gas right now, or enough minerals for that matter, for EffOrt to go hive and be doing all the things he wants to do. And of course, that 3rd base is undefended, and there is a Marine medic group headed towards this top-hand base, and no Lurker defense at the ramps. Now, this attack has not done tremendous damage in terms of unit kills. It did get 3 drones, which was annoying, but no Lurker kills, not much else out of that, but a lot of disruption. And crucially, this attack has basically been the gateway attack that is going to allow Last to either shut down or kill this 3rd base. Well, it's going to be shut down because Last has found and killed this Overlord, and honestly might have been better for Last to have not found this Overlord, because then the hatchery would have been finished. But EffOrt will cancel this at the last second, is not going to just lose that hatchery needlessly. Knows he has no way to save it. Should have his hive started now, and also getting up his first Evo chamber, but that was a lot of delaying here for EffOrt, and he's about 30 supply behind now as a result of it. Last with a lot of bunkers, though, was, I guess, very worried about a counterattack or something. But it looks like in the meantime, EffOrt has snuck, yeah, 3 drones and or a drone and 3 lurks over here. So EffOrt is going to be weirdly securing the top right-hand base potentially. And oh, Last being so cute, throwing down a supply depot. That's definitely going to force at least a Lurker to come over here and attack this and delay that expansion timing. But this is going to become a weird game now, because EffOrt is cross-map, so that's an incredibly long defense distance. Now, the reason that can sort of work for Zerg is, of course, once Hive is done, there's that instant Nidus Canal transportation possible. But last would normally expand up this way as the game goes on. And now that is going to be denied to him, unless, of course, he kills the space, but then he'll be very, very far ahead. So last is going to have a weird expansion pattern. You can take here, you can take here, maybe something here, but it's going to be a weird game for last. And in some ways, it's going to make the game harder for last, because he's going to need to either absolutely clear out this space, or he's going to have to worry about Zerg coming at expansions from both angles, and he can't just kind of set tanks in a line or be defensive this way on the map. It's a little bit more of a, I got to put some stuff over here and over here, which is a harder distance to defend rather than just going from here and here, trying to cripple Zerg at his, or contain or suffocate Zerg, or whatever adjective you want to use at those close positions. Now we see a tank is coming across here, but there's not a vessel with it, and that is because dropship first has been the choice here. Oh wow, this is not that many lurkers. This could be vulnerable here, and EffOrt is making a ballsy move forward, and last rushes in, and then last does turn around. Okay, so EffOrt is holding on for a moment now. There's some link support here, but these are two tanks sieging up. That's going to be a lot of damage on these lurkers. EffOrt inches forward, tries to get the tank, but the Marines are in perfect position. He gets a few hits off. Actually, the tank is in range of one of the lurkers, and so EffOrt is just going to inch forward, and he picks off one tank. That is a nice move here, because critically, the Defiler Mound is done, but I don't know if he has Consume yet. No, it just starts, so that's a big deal. EffOrt does not have his Defilers out, so he absolutely has to slow this down here. And just not quite enough reinforcements here from last. Remember, he's only got those 4 racks right now, and went for some pretty fast tech. So he doesn't have quite the Marine army, which is what is allowing EffOrt to jump out here, along with just the general use of not having enough scans to necessarily kill 5 or 6 lurkers in time. And so EffOrt is just buying time here for that Defiler Den. He's getting his 3rd base up. He's adding the Nidus Canal immediately. And here comes the dropship. And this is a scary moment for EffOrt, especially with the Lurker Brood at the front. And last comes across. Okay, he's going to think better of that move. EffOrt has some links in place, so let's see if he can shut down this drop pretty easily. Well, Marines with medic healing is pretty strong, but there are 2 lurkers here to deal with it, but at the same time, threat at the front from last. Drones are forced to evacuate. He's going to get a drone out of this. Lurkers are being burrowed. Now, 4 Marines can easily snipe a lurker with stim here, and last trying to use these popping, or EffOrt trying to use these popping Marines or links to bring his lurkers forward, but again, last just kind of moves over, and we see a small group of units heading out towards the 3rd base here. We've got some lurkers burrowing. That should put an end to this drop. So drop does not do tremendous damage, but it's certainly annoying. But at the same time, here's a vessel and a few tanks sieging up close range. Now we hear the Consume going off, so EffOrt will be fine for the moment, but a little bit of pressure arriving for last at this base. Now with the Nidus Canal, he should be okay. Should be able to get units back there fairly easy. Defiler continuing to consume, moving its way forward. And going to try to throw down his swarm, gets it, and that will force last to pull back a little bit further. So that gives EffOrt a little bit of breathing room, but of course, until he can either get out a few more units or get out Plague, he's not going to be able to clear this. It'll be Swarm, last backs up, Swarm goes away, last moves back in. It'll just be this constant pressure of last at the front, and that's a big deal because we see last is adding 3 factories. He's starting to get those mines and speed for his vultures, and that is your later game anti-defiler play. Oh, D-Matrix on this dropship, so last is 100% committed to getting this drop in here, does not want to get scourged. EffOrt will definitely see it. No reaction yet. Reaction waits until the first Marines are dropped, then the drones run, and in come the lurkers, now burrowing. Now it looks like that has been shut down pretty easily. Still in range of those lurkers there. Oh, wow, he dodges the spine, and actually he does find a place, and he even gets a drone out of that, so that is cute. And now the dropship flying into the main, forcing a bigger reaction here, and of course, keeping EffOrt preoccupied. This is allowing last to go ahead and expand safely to his 3rd base. Lurkers are being forced to burrow. Again, more drones forced to run, more economy disruption here. And a vulnerable few lurkers at the front here. Dangerous moments for EffOrt as these lurkers look like they're going to go down. EffOrt's going to try to run back. Does he have a swarm? Okay, he has a swarm, so he will get that bird. He holds here, and he has finally cleaned up with the drop. Had to spend, I think, 6 Scourge, and whoa, what is last? Going full kamikaze in here, running past a lurker under swarm. He is going to sneak in a few Marines, but these are doing absolutely nothing, especially without medic healing. And unfortunately, last retreats and loses almost all of his medics, so not an ideal situation here for last. One thing that is ideal for last is that with all of this action going on at this base, EffOrt has been completely unable to focus on getting his fourth base up and running, and we are at the 13-minute mark. And there is still no fourth base for EffOrt, so very slow to 3 gases, and has not really been able to drone up. I mean, that is, you know, 10 drones, 8 drones. It's barely a drone per patch at each base, which is not ideal saturation. And now a Darkstorm trying to clear this army out. Oh, Defiler eats a mine. That is unfortunate. Vultures are picked off. Lurker's forced to burrow early. Tank kills a drone coming down. Now the Lings will clear out the tank, but that's another 30 seconds or so of delaying, and this hatch is literally not going to go down until past the 13-minute mark. It will, or will it go down right before? Okay, 1 second before. And a big move in here for last. There's nothing. Oh, there is a Lurker under the storm. Never mind. He's okay for the moment. There is enough to irradiate that Lurker, though, with that vessel, but at the moment not moving forward to do so. That is a very nice play here. Softens all this up, and he sees a dropship here with 4 vultures coming through, and in the meantime, last securing that center expansion. Vulture drop is down. Mines are being cleared, okay, but these 4 or 5 Lings are not going to be enough to deal with 4 vultures. Defiler consuming here. Is it going to be Swarm or is it going to be Plague? Looks like it's going to be Swarm with that energy. I'm going to try to Swarm and at least protect the drones. That way force the vultures back. This drop being very annoying. More mines being laid over here in the top corner of the map. And now the vultures are going to try to run by. Last coming in here, also with a dropship on this side. There are Scourge in position, at least a Scourge. The dropship is not being microed though right now. The vultures go down, so Last is unable to get the double drop off, and that buys just enough time. Had this drop gone off, probably would have gotten a few drone kills while EffOrt was preoccupied with those vultures, but now a swarm goes down, and instead Last is going to switch tactics, and he is going to try to eraser these drones, parking them over, but there are Scourge popping at a very convenient time. Quickly dispatches of that. But again, another 2 or 3 drones lost. The vessel count hurts, but the vessel count loss hurts less when you're a Terran with 3 solid gases, and you know Zerg hasn't even taken their 3rd gas yet. I'm just very limited gas, limited resources for EffOrt right now. Now, as he moves into that 4th base, we see the Ultra Cavern coming up. Let's take a quick look at the upgrades. Working on some attack upgrades here. We have 1-1. He's working on at least a 2nd one. I think there's only 1 Scourge. That dropship meets its end here to a half Scourge. Half of a pair of Scourge. And yeah, up to 5 factories now for Last. Mech transition fully underway. And of course he's got a 4th base now, and he's actually looking to take this command center. Now that is a very interesting command center location because it's very far across the map, and if this position is broken at either base, then Last middle and Last top become very exposed easily. So it's a tenuous position. If Last holds these bridges comfortably, then it's fantastic. But if EffOrt breaks either one of these positions, the game could swing rather dramatically and quickly in EffOrt's favor if Last isn't careful. So Last is setting up his, I guess you could call it, contain his pressure outside of the ramp, and just enough tanks there to be quite a nuisance. And in the meantime, this is sort of this period where there is a bit of a lull in the game as Last is setting up this mech transition. He stops having Marines. You don't pressure quite as aggressively with the mech at this point, especially when you're making a lot of vultures. You're just zoning on the map, and so that means EffOrt is busy trying to get some drones, trying to get a little bit of economy, take another gas base, and it looks like he is getting ready to swarm forward here, try to push some of this off of his front doorstep. But keep in mind, a lot of mines are laid, and of course those will ruin Lurker's day anytime. And a few factories go up at this base. These Lurkers here are at the bridge, but just keeping that swarm up right now. Now the swarm runs out, but there's no vessel, so the tanks don't immediately start shooting despite being in range. Now we see them firing off. Lurkers run in, but this will be some good mines, and well, 1 Lurker gets burrowed, so that's a good start. A couple Lurkers move under swarm, and a Plague goes off, hitting 2 tanks and a Vulture. So that will force Last to move back, but we can see Last is very spread out here, very comfortable right now. Irradiate goes down. That will take care of that last Lurker. Or no, actually, I guess he irradiated a Defiler or something under there. But no, he didn't put a second Irradiate down there. Gets a Plague off on the vessels. That's nice. Makes those vessels very easy to get rid of. And we can see only mines and a small group of medic here at the other base. So Last definitely focusing all of his effort here. And oh, it looks like he's gotten Scourge through. He should get both of those vessels. But whoa, those Scourge take a horrible pathing route. And wow, Scourge AI is so bad sometimes. Really unfortunate there. EffOrt does not get either of those vessels when it looked like he would get both, and they are getting close to having enough energy to irradiate again. A few more factories being set up at this top base for security purposes, and EffOrt coming through here, or coming forward here with a small wave of units, just trying to split those Lings, clear those mines out, be efficient. And of course, anytime you're using Lings like that, it's pretty efficient. The cost of Lings not too great, and of course they're also gas free. Oh, that is a great choice. All right, so EffOrt, after failing with the Scourge, will make the Muta use that bounce damage to soak up the last of those remaining vessels. But yeah, noticing the gas of EffOrt, I'm pretty sure we are close to seeing some ultras popping here. He's going to have enough money, and that will give him a bit of breaking power against this army. Lurkers are good for holding a position, but they're not that powerful for breaking a position. But there's no Lurkers here. This is vulnerable if the tanks move in a little bit further. And the money for EffOrt's still very high. Like I said, I think the only reason it's that high is just because he's about to throw a bunch of ultras at his bank. He just needs a few more Overlord slots. There we go. A little bit of that money being eaten into. And a bunch of Dark Swarms cover the natural. So EffOrt is going to hold on to his natural for the moment. Looks like he might even clear this tank. No, that Zergling will go down. Last upgrading a little bit, but not perfectly at 2-0. Which is actually going to make his tanks very weak. These Lings are going to be rather powerful killers. Well, this Lurker at the front's going to go down. He needs to swarm pretty quickly. Oh, he consumes, but it is a vulnerable now main base here. Tanks are being brought forward. Last trying to capitalize on this, but a Defiler comes through the Nidus Canal promptly here for EffOrt, and that will allow him to hold onto this base. Just needs to burrow these. Oh, Lurkers are actually forced to burrow behind. Oh, he's got one under swarm. Never mind. All right, and finally the first ultras arriving. We see the gas beginning to decrease. Swarms are down, and there's only a few tanks holding this position as Last focuses all of his energy over here on the bottom left. And right now, EffOrt is in a good spot. He's working off 4 gases, but the concern is that he can't stay here long because he's starting to mine out these gases and these minerals here. And once those mine out, EffOrt goes from 4 or 5 gas, I can do a lot of stuff, Zerg, to another Scourge that just won't connect for EffOrt. He goes from that 4 or 5 gas, I can do a lot, Zerg, to I can't make all the gas units I need. You just need that 4 or 5 gases if you want to make Ultras, Defilers, and maybe throw in a few Lurkers. You just can't do it otherwise. Looks like the Ultras are maybe a bit slow. Yeah, speed. Okay, speed kicks in now. So will he be able to break out here with these Ultras? Well, that does not go the way EffOrt would have hoped. A few Ultras immediately dying. Let's see if he can get on top of these tanks. This is all that you see, is all that there is right here. Gonna Mind Drag into those tanks. Does clear that, but still a few units left over. And reinforcing tanks coming here from Last to this bottom position as EffOrt does try to break it. Will he have enough reinforcements? I am not sure. Doesn't look like it right now, but another Eraser comes in, and that is a very good Eraser, killing 6 or 7, at least 5 drones, I guess. But it looked like maybe even a few more than that. Doesn't get the gas drones, but EffOrt's economy is not that strong. He doesn't have crazy numbers of hatcheries like you would like. You'd prefer to have 7, 8, 9, 10 hatcheries. All right, so he's going to get some swarms up here, get some space at the front on this base, and it looks like EffOrt might actually have broken and cleared this front. Well, not quite, but he's really close to doing so. And in the meantime here, we've got some more swarms going up, Lings running forward, and oh wow, that is a lot of Ultras. Okay, these are for sure going to break this, and for the first time in this game, 20 minutes in, EffOrt gets map presence, and EffOrt absolutely needs to do something with map presence. He needs to expand once or twice and or shut down a base or two for Last. I wonder if EffOrt even knows about these bases. He could just run some Lings at these bases, but instead he's going to go for the counterattack at the main. This is a ballsy move from EffOrt. He's not going to break Last at the main, I don't think. So he's going to need to expand behind this. Now he can shut down reinforcements, weaken positions, and force that to draw units back and get himself free. But with all the, well, the bunkers actually aren't garrisoned, and the barracks are lifted, so these bunkers aren't going to do much other than be a wall. But with all this production, I think Last will eventually be able to hold here, but EffOrt is making a good showing of it so far, and this is the closest we've seen at supplies, at in a while. This is a dangerous time here for Last. If he makes some mistakes, if EffOrt gets on top of the factories, it could change very quickly for Last. But of course, a few of those ultra popping, that supplies moving more in Last's favor, and we've only got Lings coming in here, which is not going to be that intimidating with all these vultures. I think EffOrt needs to stop sending all these units. At least he's expanding to 3 o'clock. Oh, he's running in. He's got a bunch of Lurkers, which are fantastic if there's a Defiler, but guys, I don't see a... Well, there are Defilers coming, but that's like 6 or 7 tanks. Those are going to kill those Lurkers before the Defiler comes, and that is a big loss. EffOrt a little out of sync with his attack, committing a ton to this attack, and it is not going his way. These Lings are cleared out. Now, a Defiler's going to arrive, but it's like 1 Ultra at this point, and I mean, what are you going to do? The tanks aren't even sieged up. They can just roll back out of the swarm. Yeah, he's just going to micro away a little bit. Maybe a mine gets soaked into that Ultra, And the last few Lings coming in from EffOrt, but doing nothing. And an interesting choice by EffOrt to attack the main. He did not really get out of that what he needs. And Ultra does slip over here, and it is going to force a comical SCV versus Ultra situation. And we know how that's going to end for all these poor SCVs. And the answer is very not well. 1 damage a shot, but 2 tanks. That will help clean out that Ultra. So he slows the mining a little bit at that base, but nothing significant. We do have a small number of Lings running out here, actually past these tanks, but we've got tanks sieged on the high ground here defending this base now. And, I mean, EffOrt has cleared his front over here. He's going to divert a few units here and attack this base, but last is reestablished. And remember, EffOrt threw a lot into that attack, and he got some initial damage done, but then his next wave, 4 Lurkers, 3 or 4 Ultras, 2 Defilers, a bunch of Lings, all did nothing. So very, very efficient attack from last. And EffOrt right now, as the player with lower resources, really can't afford inefficiencies unless he secures several more bases. But we can see he's not securing the top. He's trying to. He's thinking about it. He's not securing the left side of the map. And that's just not leaving him in good position. He is getting some good harass done at this base, but of course very easy to begin mining that gas again for last, which is the bigger deal. We've got a bunch of Lings running in here, but plenty of tank fire and mines should clean those out. Oh, beautiful D-Matrix from last, though. I must admit, keeps that tank a while, and then the tank's going to die. It is undefended. And 4 Ultras running here. That's a bit scary, so EffOrt now swinging around, trying to shut down mining here at this base. But there are 2 tanks sieged up, although on the low ground, so that miss chance will be a little bit higher. We have some Lings running in here, but that is a lot of siege tanks. I don't think these Lings are going to do a whole lot of damage, and no, they're basically just going to die here, even if Ultra reinforcement. And these Ultras get nothing done here at the bottom base. Now, EffOrt is saturating this base. He has not taken the gas yet, and the issue here for EffOrt is definitely gas. Notice EffOrt's map presence, his aggression just kind of vanished. And the main reason it vanished is because these 2 geysers are now depleted, and so EffOrt is mining off of only 2 gas. And that is not a lot of gas. Well, 2.5 gas, because these are quarter geysers. When they're depleted, you bring them back 2 instead of 8. And now Last will pressure this, and of course the danger in taking either of these expansions now for EffOrt is that Last is very close. Oh, okay, he does get that vessel, so that's nice. He's going to limit the vision, which means that Last will have to keep scanning to attack up there for right now. And of course Last can't bring units up there with that Lurker under Swarm. Brings the Swarm down a little bit. Oh, that Lurker was actually irradiated. So it does fall. And big wave of units coming out here for EffOrt. But again, off 2 gas, he just can't make that many Ultralisks at this point, and his bank is very low, whereas Last, with these 5 bases, these double gas in the middle, huge gas. EffOrt so wishing he was in Last shoes right now. Gas is the big limiter for Zerg, and with that much gas, oh, the things EffOrt could do. But he's mostly having to rely on Lings. And he's bringing a Lurker forward. I really like this, though. Getting a Lurker burrowed on the low ground here will zone out tanks over a wide range. Goes for a Plague, but Last moves his Vultures pretty well and only gets a few Vultures Plague. And he's done a very good job so far spreading out his units. Not been able to hit any Clump Plagues, but this is an annoying moment as 4 Vultures get up here. And we are definitely going to have some drones falling, especially with no immediate reaction from EffOrt. That's 5, 6, 7 drones here. That's 3 gas drones, 4 of these drones. Lots of kills, and again, slowing down the gas mining. Lings spilling in from the other side are going to clear these tanks for the time being, and the Vultures also will get cleared, but it costs EffOrt a lot to do so, and just on such a frail economy and with so few gases is not looking good at all for EffOrt. I feel like, I don't know, maybe he needs to go drops. Very, very vulnerable to drops here. If he loaded in a bunch of Lings, he could do some damage to this position. These tanks could probably unsiege and come back and defend, but he really needs to shut and slow down Last in some way. Maybe drop this location, get Last distracted away from this base, take another base, take over here, but he just needs really Last to lose a base or 2 and probably get another base of his own so he can have a little more gas. Now he has resumed mining, so he is now mining 3.5 gas, which is okay, but it's not great, especially when your opponent has access to all the bases he does. And of course, attritionally, EffOrt is in a terrible position right now. So this is, you know, EffOrt is holding, but he is very, very much on the back foot. Oh, okay, so that Spore is smart. That will force these buildings back most likely. And indeed, we see them retreating backwards. But Last comes up with quite a few units here to pressure at this 3 o'clock base of EffOrt. Now, EffOrt is sending a few Lings. He's going to get a few Lings into the center, which does look very exposed. It's the first time EffOrt's done that. And while it is exposed, well, those Scourge getting nothing. While it is exposed, very easy to send Vultures over here, especially when you are sieging up this base. And oh, this is a nice siege. It's actually going to kill off the Spore, which will leave the barracks there alive. It's in yellow health, so it's not just going to die. And last, in the meantime, swings around to the front of EffOrt, throws down an Irradiate. Scourge coming in. Is there anything to shoot them down? Finally gets a connection. At least it gets one vessel. That is about the first time now we've seen EffOrt have any luck getting any vessels, except for when those two Mutaglaves did pick off the plagued vessels. And of course, last is max now and banking EffOrt at only 123 supply. Really difficult situation here for EffOrt. He's got armies sieging two of his bases at once, although these tanks have not crept in over to this base, largely because there is that Lurker on the ramp zoning them out. But beautiful tank line, lots of mines being laid. Tanks are actually going to inch forward. Actually, maybe not. Maybe they're just misrallied, missent. A few Lings trying to run in here, but there are tanks and Vultures easily coming to clear those. And of course, gas, the main and valuable resource now at this base. Ultra's trying to go up here, but he's got these low ground tanks. He's got a bunch of turrets. He's going to force them to run away. And in fact, EffOrt is going to switch these Ultras here over towards attacking these tanks and these Vultures. And this Ultra will probably clear out these Vultures, so he will need to reinforce. But at the same time, we still have the pressure over here. The tanks can see the Lurkers. Needs to get a Swarm down. Has enough energy, but the Swarm is not there right now as EffOrt focuses his energies here on this base. Now, if he can deny the double gas, that's nice, but I feel like reinforcements are just going to be so easy. He does sneak a few Lings over here. We can see he wasn't able to clear out those two tanks, so he buys himself some breathing room, but he's still stuck on these three bases, and three bases is not going to cut it when Terran has had access to, what is that, 6 bases the entire game? Yeah, 6 bases, and one of them is a double gas, so 7 gases. Very, very rough. All right, so Irradiate down on the Defiler. That leaves this base extremely exposed. Even more Irradiates being thrown down, I think, on a Lurker or something. EffOrt is going to need units big time. He's going to send in a bunch of Lings trying to break out the siege tanks over here. But the problem is this base is under siege. This gas can be sieged from down here, and that's a big deal. Now, the Lings will not quite be enough to break. It does break and clear the minefield, but EffOrt just doesn't have the Ultras. He doesn't have the drops. He doesn't have the options he needs to be really tanky and clear out this base. I'm honestly maybe even a little surprised that EffOrt is playing this as one-dimensionally as possible. Another Vulture gets in, getting 3 or 4 kills, and now for the first time, tanks are actually sieging up on the high ground. The gas is dead, though, so EffOrt now is gas broke. Well, actually, he can start to mine this base. It is good that he's taken over there. He needs that base quite badly, but it just seems to me like EffOrt is playing very one-dimensional. He's just straight up fighting last, and we're not seeing any use of drops. Nothing varied here in this lower gas, lower economy situation to throw off last gameplay. He's just fighting last at his own game, but last is so far ahead economically that he just has more units and the ability to make whatever he wants. EffOrt can't make the compositions that he wants. There's just not enough gas to go around. And, I mean, he might even start to be thin on minerals here as these bases run dry. Now, he has reestablished this base, so his gas is still okay, but this is a lot of mech here from last. And, yeah, just way too much siege damage. He does clear out a tank or two, but this base is still completely under siege. And a big wave of Ling reinforcements coming down here. But, again, even with these Dark Swarms, Lings just melt so hard to splash damage. A tank is sieged in an annoying place. They're blocking Lings from getting out. And indeed, most of these Lings are evaporating. What is he going to get? 1 tank out of this? That's all he's getting. Now, it doesn't cost that much to send all those Zerglings in, but he's not really getting anything. Now, if he gets these Lurkers burrowed, that's at least something. And with this nice plague here, those will clear out pretty fast. So he will evaporate 4 or 5 tanks there. And he's getting this edge tank, which is very nice for saving his gas. But will last move right back in? Yeah, it looks like last wants to move right back in, siege up, and immediately will deny this. So this gas mining is getting restricted and restricted and restricted. Now we have a bunch of Lings coming out here. They are going to block this command center from landing, it looks like. And EffOrt is finally overrunning the center position here from last. But we see that this geyser was depleted. This one still had a little bit, and Queens from EffOrt. That's why his army has been looking so thin. So some Broodlings coming in here, clearing out some tanks, but again, the gas is the issue. That was only 4 or 5. Usually when those Queen transitions are very powerful, you know, you get 8, 9, 10, 12 queens just brutling all the tanks, and then there's a few ultras even left over, but there's just nowhere near the gas EffOrt needs. And of course, getting 2 or 3 of those queens irradiated means that he doesn't have any short-term solutions now for these tanks. It'll be quite a while before they can have enough energy to brutally again. Now here comes a fleet of Scourge, but will any of them connect? And oh, the trend continues. Too many Goliaths there. The trend continues for poor EffOrt as he just cannot reduce the vessel count. And now with 6 vessels, even the vessel count is becoming an issue. And this game is just looking grimmer and grimmer. I mean, 6 vessels can irradiate everything under the sun, although a very nice plague hits all the vessels. Now we'll see if EffOrt can get out another muta or 2 and try to bounce damage these vessels when they extend a little bit further out like they are now. Lurker's being burrowed at the high ground, but there should be enough to just irradiate all of that stuff. And so this will only buy EffOrt another few seconds, and just more cost efficiency here with the irradiates for last, especially if he can keep those vessels alive. And now EffOrt with a tremendous number of lings. There are a couple ultras in here, but this is primarily lings. Let's see, this might be enough actually to trap and kill this army off. We got lings coming out from both sides, and here come the lings. He is trying to get a good surround on him, but that is a lot of vultures to tank and a bunch of siege fire, and the ultra is not really in the front absorbing the damage, and most of the lings are melting. And, well, EffOrt's army just melting to the 3-2 tanks of last. EffOrt on max upgrades himself, but it's just not enough, and reinforcements arrive to add insult to injury here. So this base, it's looking pretty dead. We don't really see a defiler. We don't really see any units. He doesn't have the gas from it. He's on that very, very low gas income. This geyser's now depleted. This one is moments away from depletion. So EffOrt is basically off less than 2 gases, or right at 2 gases. He's having to consume drones just to keep them alive, and I think he's losing even his ability to defend now. Last on top of this base, EffOrt continues to send in these lings, and they are doing a good job clearing mines, but there's just not the unit mass that he needs to have any chance of clearing this out. And it looks like finally last is bleeding EffOrt dry. This is the only thing right now keeping EffOrt in this game. Few lings running here at these vultures, but just we're looking around. I mean, he does have 2 more tanks that he can broodling, but there's like 8 tanks there, so broodling 2 tanks, not a big deal. The queens are not efficient in those low numbers. You need to have 6 or 10 of them so you can just broodling over and over again and be very, very efficient. But there's not enough resources. All right, so in come the queens here. We're going to see some broodlings, I hope, although irradiates go down on those queens, and they're just flying right past. I hope they're not just going to die. Well, actually, he gets 1, and 1 does die. Both had the energy to broodling. Well, we have got Overlord here with a few drops in it. It is scouted by last. He sees that moving around. EffOrt does unload, so finally EffOrt has drop, but, well, he's got drop at a time where it's not very useful. And now last repositioning his army. Let's see, where did last just scan? Oh, he just scanned this base, so we'll see. Okay, it looks like right now he's not going to worry about this base. He's going to siege up EffOrt's 4th base, which is a very interesting choice to siege up the 3rd and 4th for EffOrt, because there's very, very few resources left there. I mean, if he just wants to hold his contain and keep choking EffOrt out, that's fine. I mean, last has so much money right now. Still mining comfortably from both of these bases. This base finally mined out. EffOrt trying to run a few units in here, but not able to get enough done. We can see last has plenty of defense to handle these drops. And now the army swinging across here, finally headed towards this base. And let's face it, we've got a lot of vessels. I mean, he can eraser the drones. There's no anti-air around right now. EffOrt has built up sort of his... I feel like this is kind of his final stand. But this is a major army here from last. We've got well over control groups of tanks. At least 6-8 vultures, 6-8 Goliaths in there. This is a big, beefy army. Wow, some vessels actually being sent in for pre-irradiate. EffOrt did make a few Hydra there with intent to make the Lurkers, but able to use those to snipe off 1 or 2 of those vessels. But still, a lot of pre-irradiates down on those Ultra, making them very squishy and weak. And now EffOrt is swinging around the map, and he's going to try to come in here and flank this. Let's see, are there any defilers around here? Yeah, the defiler is getting up, but the Scourge run in, and 1 Scourge connects, but the Ultras are just evaporating. They're just way too squishy from those irradiates. They're dying almost before they even hit the tanks. The attack isn't quite coordinated enough. He will, it looks like, get a Lurker burrowed at the ramp, but I think there might be enough vessels just to have irradiated all of those Lurkers. Now, he does hit another Plague. Does he? Yeah, there's not a Lurker under the ramp, and the gas is dead, so now EffOrt has literally 2 gases of mining. from his, or no, 1 gas of mining. So that's purelings. He can afford the occasional ultra, the occasional defiler. It's just not enough. And look how much is left from last. And not only that, there's a massive bank. To be honest, at this point, I am surprised EffOrt is in the game. I guess he's just going to let this base die and then probably GG. But he is completely starved out of everything. Turns around, does get a vessel. Losing drones at this hatch. Goliath now on top. Hatch falls. So that is it. EffOrt is literally not mining. Well, we got 1 wave of lings here from EffOrt. Gonna try to clear out these tanks, but he doesn't have any money, and Last has this huge army. Like, this game is going nowhere for EffOrt. I'm honestly surprised he's still here. He's literally, where is he? I don't know. He's maybe grabbing some sort of distance mining or whatever. These lings are melting. We should see GG at any moment. And yeah, there we go. GG. Last takes the game, ends up suffocating EffOrt out in the long term. So thanks to you guys for watching, and if you enjoy the content, feel free to like, subscribe, etc. Thank you very much.